justice for all.
Mr. President, you have a quorum?
Thank you. Is there a report from the closed session?
There should be, theoretically. Mr. President, at tonight's closed session, the board voted to approve the appointment of the following public employee contracts, which are subject to contractual agreement by the chancellor, and salaries are, for informational purpose only, are not voted on by the board. Recommendation to appoint Roger Purnell as Director of Gateway to College, Laney College, effective September 25th, 2013 through June 30, 2015, annual salary of $90,000 by the following vote of 6 ayes and 1 absence. Trustee Handy was absent on that vote. Recommendation to appoint Danny Nguyen as Interim Director of Financial Aid, effective September 25th, 2013 through June 30, 2014, or until the position is filled on a regular basis, whichever occurs first. Annual salary of $110,000 by votes of 6 ayes and 1 absence, Trustee Handy being absent. The board voted to accept the motion to support the administration's recommendation that suspension be for 2 years, but evaluate the suspension after 1 academic year contingent upon the student meeting conditions for the student disciplinary appeal of Sakai bonds from Berkeley City College. The vote on that was 5 ayes, 1 abstention by Trustee Gonzalez-Yen, and 1 absent by Trustee Handy. If any of the administrators that we announced here today that we hired, if Mr. Nguyen or Mr. Purnell are here, would you please stand to be recognized? Don't see them here tonight, but we congratulate you on your appointments. That concludes the report from closed session.
Thank you. Okay. Understand we have some items that
Yes.
are being pulled.
Mr. President, we'd like to, the administration is requesting that we pull items number 18 from the agenda. Number 18 from the agenda to be pulled, which is consider approval to enter into a contract award for the College of Alameda at Cougar Village expansion modular bid submittal package increment 1. The company is Mobile Modular. That's being pulled. Also on the agenda to be pulled are items number 21 and item number 22. And item number 21 is consider approval of amendment number 1 to the agreement for construction services with FieldServe for Laney College football field refurbishment project. And item number 22, which is a related item, is consider approval to enter into an agreement with Mondo USA, Inc., Mondo, to mitigate the deterioration of district-wide tracks at Laney College, College of Alameda, and Merritt College. Without objection, Mr. President, if we can pull those items.
Mr. President, I move that my motion be amended to accommodate the request of the Chancellor.
I'm not following.
Okay, I agree, as a seconder.
Okay, all those in favor of the changes that have been made to the agenda and approving the agenda with those modifications?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? We move to the approval of the minutes. There are 2 separate minutes present here.
Mr. President, move approval for both the minutes of July 16th and September 10th, 2013.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions?
1 abstain.
1 abstention. Any nays? If not, we'll move to public communications. Are there speakers before us this evening?
I think I only have 1 speaker card here this evening, Mr. President, maybe more. Okay, I see more coming to the podium. If you could give those to the clerk. But the first speaker is Matthew Goldstein.
Good evening. I'm Matthew Goldstein, President of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, AFT Local 1603. A cold has robbed me of my usually strong and melodious voice. PFT received a tentative contract agreement from the district this afternoon, and the union negotiating team is poring over that language as I speak. We thank VC Largent and her team for getting us that draft in a timely way, and we look forward to inking a deal very, very soon. Once every I is dotted and every T crossed, and once we've signed off on the agreement, we'll hold a general membership meeting for a ratification vote, and we'll make every effort to bring the deal back here to the board by your October 8th meeting. I'll give a detailed post-game analysis and appropriate acknowledgments for folks on both sides of the table who made this deal possible once the deal is in fact official. PFT was disappointed to learn today that VC Ron Gerhard has decided to leave Peralta. PFT has developed a very productive working relationship with Ron during his 3 years here, and it's really appreciated his accessibility, his directness, and his good humor. By all accounts, CCSF is in desperate need of strong leadership, and I'm confident that Ron can provide just that. CFT and PFT have been and will continue to be ardent supporters of City College, and if getting Gerhardt means that City can climb back on its feet, then I suppose PFT can learn to work with a new CFO. Anyway, thanks, Ron, for your work here in the district, and if you thought that moving across the bridge was going to be an upgrade, remember that both the Raiders and 49ers are 1 and 2 at this point. And we don't have to even talk about baseball yet. So let me just end by saying we're still waiting for part-time sick leave totals on pay stubs, for a functioning evaluation process, and for an improved faculty interface with the PeopleSoft system. But I'll save the fire and brimstone for another meeting when my voice is back in fighting form. Thanks very much.
Are there any other speakers?
We do have a speaker on action item number 1 and 2 when we get to the action calendar. And so if we could put that on, reserve that time for that time, unless the speaker wants to speak during public comment.
Right, thank you. The speaker you wish to speak now or at the time that we approve or disapprove of the action items?
Yeah, you should come up now.
Thank you. My name is Helena Lengel, and I know most of you are on this table here, and I'm here to represent SEIU regarding our contract that we have ratified this last Wednesday, and I really want to express my gratitude and thank the district and the chancellor, and particularly Trudy Largent for doing a fabulous job working with us across the table. I feel like this is an outstanding agreement that we have come to. I feel it's wonderful where the state passed us a 1.57 and the district was generous and gracious enough to increase that to 3% on the salary scale, which is fabulous. And we then took, in addition, they offered a 1% off the salary scale, in which we chose to apply that to our dental furloughs. And so we have been able to reduce our furloughs, and we are now only going to be doing 12 hours and 15 minutes exactly for our furloughs this year. So I feel that it was a very good working dynamic that we had across the table, and I think that it is good on both sides. It was good on both sides. It was a very workable situation, and it's very rare that that happens. So I just really want to say how outstanding it is. I also want to thank you for the improvements that we've made to the hourly contract. They are also getting the 3% raise, and they're in addition getting a 1% bonus. And I want to say that the hourlies have been really seriously neglected for almost a decade. They did not get the pass-throughs, the COLA pass-throughs that were occurring in the previous years. Even prior to the recession, they were not included in the COLAs. And I'm really delighted now that the district is starting to recognize how they really are valuable to how we serve the students, and that they are really an integral part of our Peralta family, and they should be recognized as such. So other than that, we did get some non-economic language in there, which we haven't been able to work on for years because it was always such a bullheaded ride to get anything completed at all, and this time we were able to do some non-economic, which I really appreciated, and I think everything we're doing is really positive. So I am happy to see it's on the calendar tonight, and I hope that you will all approve it because we ratified it with some phenomenal 99% yes. So That's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. We especially appreciate your appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude comments from the public?
Yes, no more, I don't have any more speaker cards for members of the public.
Okay, thank you. We'll now have reports from the Associated Student Government.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alasia Williams. I'm from the College of Alameda, and I am the president of the Associated Students. I'm happy to actually say that the Associated Students are doing well this year. We now have a full body of students on our Senate. The good thing about these students is that they come from different backgrounds, speak different languages, so they really represent all the students on campus. Today, we actually had an event, Bridge Day. The event was about the clubs that we have on campus, the services that we offer, and we actually gave back to the community by inviting Alameda high school students onto the campus. And there, they were able to actually join in conversation with students about what it's like to be a community college student. I found that it was very successful. We got great raves from a lot of the staff and a lot of classified and administrators. I'd also like to announce that I went to the Black Caucus Conference in Washington, D.C. last week, and I found it to be so inspiring to meet different congressmen and women from around the country, to be able to gain information, hear their stories about their determination and their struggles as to how they have came to be where they are today. And I would like to also say that I think that the Peralta Community College District should really endorse these students to go to these conferences, because it gives us back such a good thing to our community, not only for students to learn, but so we can move further and progress as students. I found it to be very, very inspirational, I do have to say. Last week, we had Vice President Dr. Stark come to an ASCOA meeting, and there she talked about the changes to scheduling. She would like to introduce block scheduling, and the ASCOA definitely supports this new schedule system. I find that it would give a lot of students a chance to take classes that they need to graduate and to also move forward in their careers as students. I'd also like to invite each and every one who's watching, listening, to come to an ASCOA meeting. It's held every Monday at 2:30 at the College of Alameda campus in the Student Center. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Danny McCarty. I'm currently a full-time student at Berkeley City College, and am also currently a member of the Judicial Council at Berkeley City College. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to speak tonight and give my report. Trustee Brown, Student Trustee Clegg, Trustee Handy, Trustee Riley, Trustee Guillen, Trustee Golasa, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen, Student Trustee Lee, Trustee Withrow, Chancellor Ortiz, and everybody else. I want to commend the board for approving Mr. Mustafa Gauss as the Director of Student and Campus Life. Mr. Gauss has been indispensable in maintaining student government operations, and the ASC has been operating in accordance with all the governing documents to the very last detail. The campus had a very successful club rush from September 9th to September 13th. Each day the atrium was filled to maximum capacity with no less than 12 clubs present, and this gave the students an opportunity to engage and learn about the various clubs that we have on our campus this year. Recently, the ASC approved 3 members to represent BCC at the Congressional Black Caucus in Washington, D.C., and I want to thank Trustee Handy for facilitating this wonderful opportunity. The members representing BCC received direct experience in our national government, as well as learning about issues facing the African American community, so I want to give my thanks to that. To quickly go over our budget, I need to stress to the board that BCC has a very low proportion of funds in proportion to the amount of students that we serve. So with that being said, the ASC created a budget committee consisting both of executive and senator members. And after approval from the entire ASC in a proper vote, we came up with a tentative budget plan. The budget includes $5,200 going towards graduation and contributions for various student organizations. This is an opportunity to praise the students' hard work who will be graduating soon and to commend them for their accomplishments. Moreover, we have $5,000 allocated for custodial services to ensure efficiency in setting up school events as well as maintenance for facilities around the campus. In addition, we have $20,000 for clerical support that will provide the necessary assistance for our Director of Campus Life and Student Activities. And finally, we have $10,000 that will be going towards the various clubs present at our school. Some future events, the Gay Straight Alliance is putting on a drag event on October 18th in the atrium, and this is to support the education for gender identity and gender equality. The ASC is also in the process of developing what we are calling a town square. And this is a monthly forum for individuals and student organizations to communicate their ideas and their opinions about campus issues and opportunities. Additionally, we are looking to create a similar platform online for BCC called the BCC Agora, which will serve as a central hub for student online engagement and will be a medium for student support and communication. And just to wrap up, Berkeley City College has grown tremendously in the last few years. And with the limited real estate capacity, we're facing a few challenges for the clubs and student activities. In the space utilization report, BCC exceeded 100% utilization standards for the lecture room category, as well as receiving a 98% utilization standard for the laboratory category. So I would greatly appreciate the governing board to tackle some of these issues and to enhance student learning that way. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Carl Oliver, President of the Associated Students of Layton College. I'd like to report that we have put on, we worked with our administration, put on a welcome back week to welcome back the students. It was a great event. It lasted a week long. Also, we have done Club Rush, where clubs come out, get other students to join their clubs. Yesterday, we put on a movie day, which we show Vertigo, 1958, Alfred Hitchcock film. That will be monthly. The next one will be October 21st. Also, October 25th, we'll do the first comedy show, which will also be monthly. It's open to everyone. All you guys can come out, please do. It'll be in the Odell Johnson Performing Arts Theater. Also, I'd like to thank Dr. Webb, Dr. Bogie, and Dr. Baltadano. Their doors have always been open. They're in support of everything we do. With that being said, we've advocated for tutoring in the student center, which is hard for students. It's the most student traffic. And next week it will start with chemistry, physics, French, and Spanish, with geography and a few other subjects to come. Yep, that's my report. Please come out to the movie day and the comedy show. Next one is October 21st. For the movie day, it's a Monday. October 25th is Friday, a comedy show. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we move to reports from the Chancellor's team.
Thank you very much, Trustee Galassa. I want to, this evening, first of all, recognize our former Chancellor, Elihu Harris, who a couple of weeks ago we sponsored at Merritt College a homage to Elihu Harris. It was an activity that was truly first class, and it was hosted by none other than the mayor, Willie Brown, and the Congresswoman, Barbara Lee. So among those dignitaries were 200 people that I've never met before in my life, and I have new friends now. But it was a great event, and I want to congratulate Elihu Harris for not only the recognition he received that night, but certainly for the work and the contributions he's had for the other colleges. Then lastly, yesterday I attended a conference in Sacramento for the Student Success and Support Program. We had many representatives from the other colleges present, and the intent of the conference was to get everyone on the same page regarding the expectations of implementing the Student Success Act of 2012 and how we will pursue what we used to call the matriculation process is now called the SSSP process, which includes not only student orientation and assessment, but most importantly, creating an education plan for all students, regardless of whether they have identified a major or not. The evidence that the Student Success Task Force has uncovered through the years is that for students to be successful, they need to have a clear pathway. And that pathway, at this point, is identifying a set program of courses. And the sooner a student has that in their hand, the more successful their probability for completion will be. So that's how I spent my last couple of days, last couple of weeks. I will now introduce Vice Chancellor Orkin, who will present a short report on our enrollment statistics for the district, and he will also report on our latest work as we prepare for the next accreditation cycle, which will be a visit in the spring of 2015. Dr. Orkin.
Good evening, trustees, colleagues, and community. We have a brief PowerPoint. I think I'll make the lights a little louder. Okay, so I'm going to talk about enrollments as of Saturday when I downloaded this data. We've passed census week for the fall semester, so now we have good numbers for both the fall and, of course, for the summer. So what we get apportionment for is resident FTES. And in the top row there of the table, you can see our resident FTES targets. The district target is 18,830 resident FTES. And using the budget allocation model, there's an allocation that's provided to each campus as their target. And so Alameda is 3,640, BCC 3,676, and so on. And percentage-wise, Alameda, BCC, and Merritt hover around 20%, and Laney around 40%. So FTES current, the next row, is what we've accomplished with our resident FTES through the summer and now fall through census week. So we have a total of 1,909 resident FTS so far accumulated at Alameda, 2,130 at BCC, 4,056 at Laney, and 2,040 at Merritt, for a total of 10,134 resident FTS to date. And you can see by the percentages under those numbers that the college FTES is roughly aligned with their annual targets. You can also see, just by looking there, that the 10,134 were already more than halfway towards our target. And of course, it's a balancing game because you want to make the target, but you don't want to go way over it because we only have apportionment for a certain amount. Okay, so we can break it up into summer and fall. In the summer, we got a total of about 2,000 FTES. So it's about 11% of the total. So the percentages there, the percent of the annual target for each college. So Alameda got 12.6% of their annual target over the summer, BCC 12.3%, and so on. The district 11.3%. Then we move on to the fall, our fall resident FTES, and we've got, the district has achieved 42.5% of its total target for the year in the fall semester. And that breaks down to 39.8% for Alameda, 45.6% for BCC, and so on. So when you add those together, you can see that to date, we've gone over the 50% mark in reaching our goal. That is the 18,830 FTES, with 52.4% of their goal at Alameda, 57.9% at BCC, and so on. District-wide, 53.8%. We've achieved that percentage of our goal for resident FTES. We also have to look at non-resident FTS because it's not just resident students who take our classes. They're non-resident students who may be out of state and international students. And about 6.8% of all of our students are non-resident students. And currently we have 735 non-resident FTS through summer and fall. And it's broken down by the colleges, by FTS, non-resident FTS, and you can see that BCC and Laney have the bulk of our non-resident students. BCC, in fact, has 32.4% of all of our non-resident students, Laney 40.9%, but if you look at it as a percent of their total FTS, BCC, which is a smaller school, has the highest percentage of non-resident students. So we've been talking about expanding our international education program. We're trying to grow it a little bit or leaving it the same. We've gotten a report from an outside person who's well experienced in international education, and so that's something that's under discussion. But our non-resident FTS is healthy and most prominent at BCC and Laney. Okay, so it's not just FTS that we want. We also want to keep within our budget, and one way to measure that is through what we call productivity, which is roughly enrollment size, FTES per FTF. And our target our target productivity for resident FTES is 17.5. But we also have to take into account that there are non-resident students in the classes as well, and there are also various other factors. But if you look at the two productivities, resident and total, so total includes non-resident students, you can see that our productivity numbers are healthy, maybe a little under 17.5 for the resident productivity, but still, when you look at total productivity, I think we're doing a good job, especially since this is the first year that we're really trying to grow FTES, and at the end of last year. Okay, so that's my PowerPoint, and I wanted to, I guess before I talk about the next topic that the Chancellor asked me to talk about, any questions?
Mr. President? Thank you for the report on the FTES. When you're talking about an annual target, the 18,830, is that the target that is made up of the funds that we anticipate having on board to cover the costs of those students?
Yes.
Okay?
That's the apportionment money, is made up essentially of the apportionment that we get from the state. They apportion us for so much, for so many, a certain number of resident students. It does not include the non-resident students.
Right. So that if we now have, for the first semester, 10,134, and if that repeated itself, we would have 20,268 for something under 1,500 unfunded. How many unfunded can we accommodate financially
Okay, well, first of all, that 10,000 is not the fall semester, it's the fall and the summer.
in the summer? Okay.
Yeah, so if you do this, if we do the same thing in the fall, in the spring that we did in the fall, we'll actually be a little under. So we're in pretty good shape right now.
Okay.
Okay. But let me make another comment related to your question. The 18,830 includes a little bit of a cushion so that we can strive to get as close as possible, maybe even slightly over. But I guess the number we've been using as a safe number is like we can go through maybe up to 300 over without
That's what I.
getting in trouble. And I think that's what you were asking.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Now, on the non-resident, showing 735, isn't that low compared to our historical track record?
I think we were a little higher a couple years ago, so it may be a little bit lower. I think our international enrollments are down a little, but I don't think it's dramatically lower. And that's one of the things that we've been talking about.
Okay.
I have data on
The
that.
funds from international actually add to the pot because they're paying full fare.
Yes, that's right.
Which means that we can go a little more over our funded on FTES because we're receiving the money from the international.
Well, the international money, international students' money, along with the non-resident fees, there are high non-resident fees even
Right.
for students who are not international students.
Exactly.
And so they more than pay for themselves. And that money gets allocated proportionally to the colleges as part of the money that they can use to hire part-time faculty.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, Nikki?
Thank you for the report. I hope you'll share that with the board clerk so that we can study it at our leisure. And in fact, it'd be helpful to actually have it either in advance or while we're watching, because I want to refer back to some numbers, but I can't because I don't have it and you're in control of the slides. So
I
that'd be
actually
really-
gave a copy to the board clerk earlier today.
Okay, I just don't have it yet in
We
my
can put
packet.
it in Dropbox.
I don't have it in my
Yeah.
packet yet, so, but I did have a question. The way you presented the data, it makes it quite challenging to understand whether we're actually on target or not. I mean, I hear what you're saying, yep, we seem to be on target. But when you look at the summer target and the fall target, what were our summer and fall targets in comparison to how we did?
We didn't break down targets by summer and fall. We only have an annual target, and it's up to the colleges to sort of balance their enrollments and use their enrollment management to be able to meet their annual target, which is what we did last year as well.
Do the colleges have summer and fall targets?
They might have their own separate targets. Each college has its own needs and its own strategies.
Well, just help me understand this. How do you know whether we're on target or not?
By looking at data like this.
Well, so in your mind, you have some idea of where you're trying to go.
Correct, and so do the colleges.
Would you share that with us?
Yes,
That's all
well,
I'm
yes,
asking.
yes.
If you
Well-
could share it, what was your number? You haven't written it down. If you could share what the number was that you had in mind, that would be helpful for me.
We had hoped to get over 50% by this point, so that's what we're doing. I don't.
Great, so you did have a target. Thank you. And so your target was 50%, and we are at 53%. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Second, I don't mean to be argumentative. I was just trying to understand the data. That's all. We have a parcel tax that the voters supported us with, and I thought sort of incumbent in the parcel tax was the idea that we could then support classes that the state, in fact, didn't support. So they give us an FTS number and they say, we'll fund up to X amount. In our budget, do we then also say, well, all right, the state's going to fund X amount, but because we have local money, we're going to offer some sections above and beyond that?
I think that the parcel tax augments some things and is used for instruction, but, and I think we do offer classes that aren't necessarily highlighted by the state, but we still have to meet our FTS apportionment goals because that is really where the bulk of the money comes from. We've used the parcel tax money, and Vice Chancellor Gerhardt could go into that in more detail. Last year, for example, we used it to make up for funds that weren't there that we wanted to use. So we actually added lots of sections last year as a result of the parcel tax money. But I'm not quite sure anyway, I'm not quite sure what you mean.
I think you're asking how the parcel tax is being used to reach our targets, or where we're investing the parcel tax.
That's part of what I'm asking. The state provides us with apportionment money, and they say, we'll fund you up to X number of sections, basically, X number of FTES. And then above and beyond that, are we, in fact, increasing our FTES target, knowing that, in fact, we have local money, or are we not?
Well, I mentioned a few minutes ago that we actually have a cushion on the 18,830 is an extra 300 FTES that we're comfortable with. That's not apportioned by the state. So it's that, for example, which we can do comfortably because of things like the parcel tax.
Thank you.
Well, I think that before Vice Chancellor Gerhardt departs, we need to hear from him on how he's budgeted. Yes, please.
Adding to it, and you're going to see more of this at our at your next board meeting on October 8th when we submit to you the district's state annual financial report, the 311A. But last year, as Vice Chancellor Orkin spoke to, we did offer or we did spend quite a bit of money in excess of $3 million on part-time faculty budgets at each respective college. And the way that we organize it from a budgetary standpoint is allocating based upon the percentages and based upon the college's annual FTS target, allocated or apportioned some of the parcel tax to each college to augment their general fund dollars to help them support them in offering their schedule of classes, offering their classes that drove the enrollment directly to the FTS. But in addition to using it for part-time faculty budgets last year, we spent over $1.2 million on backfilling or augmenting instructional supply, instructional equipment budgets that were really cut. We were restoring them because those were budgets that were cut in the previous fiscal year. And so we restored them out of for the colleges, directly for the colleges, out of the parcel tax. And then the third major area where we spent the parcel tax dollars were in new classified positions that were instructional aides. For example, there were 4 instructional aides, one for each college, as well as the name of the position escapes me, but it was a position created here or funded here at the district office to support Moodle and online distance education. So those are the areas primarily where we spent the parcel tax dollars last fiscal year. And you'll see a summary of that on October 8th.
And I'd like to add one other thing to that. My final slide had to do with the productivity, and you can see that, as I mentioned, the resident productivity is less than our target productivity of 17.5. But we're able to be comfortable with that because we offer special classes that may not have as high enrollments as other classes, and that's also something that the parcel tax allows us to be comfortable with.
So just as a follow-up, we have a budget, we have an instructional budget. are you comfortable right now with the percentage of the instructional budget that we've spent to reach the 53%? That is, if you just, give the colleges the money and say, hey, make it any way you can. Now, you're looking at Berkeley City College, for example, which seems to be doing quite well. I mean, one way they could have done that, I don't think they probably did, but one way they could have done that was by spending 70% of their instructional budget to hit 53% of their target. Now, presumably, they're not doing that. Are we on target with the expenditures of our instructional budget versus the enrollment goals?
Yes, I think we are. And we have data on that. We talk about it every week in the Chancellor's Cabinet. And when we talk about our expenditures, of course, we're mainly talking about faculty expenditures. That's where the bulk of the money is. And if you look at we have FTF targets based on the FTS targets, namely you just take the FTS target and divide by the productivity goal. And we're actually right on track with our FTF targets when you fold in the non-resident students part. So I think that the colleges, which may each have their own enrollment strategies, are absolutely working in accordance with the goal and are making it.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Yes, Trustee Brown.
I have a general question. When we set the targets, when the colleges set the targets, the components that go into setting the targets, how are they? It would be helpful to know how they're balanced and how they're weighed to get to the percentages so that we know if there is a lingering need that needs to be filled, so that we know what we might be cutting back on in order to reach a target. I understand it would be a pragmatic, established goal, but I'm wondering what we're leaving out, what we're leaving on the table, or where the sacrifices are, so that we can understand if there is a possibility for greater advocacy or for backfilling what we're leaving,
Well, I think my opinion is that this year we're really being quite aggressive and not leaving a lot on the table in terms of trying to provide classes that our students want and need. But the first part of your question, the allocations to the colleges are based on what's called the BAM model, budget allocation model, which was very carefully developed using our shared governance PBI planning and budget integration process over the last few years. And the actual allocation based on the state apportionment number is based on what are called 3-year rolling averages. So we look at the average resident FTS of the past 3 years, and that's used to derive the percentages for each college. But that's just a small part of a larger model in which there are other factors such as which colleges, such as the percentage of contract faculty members at each college, for example, compared to part-timers. And so there are a lot of things in play, but just the allocation part is based on the 3-year rolling averages.
Any further questions? And thank you.
Okay, I had one other, the Chancellor wanted me to make one other comment about the fact that we are now entering a new accreditation cycle, having victoriously come off of the last one, no longer on sanctions. And so we're with the leadership of the Chancellor, we're not just sitting back and relaxing, we're energetically getting started on the next cycle, which involves an institutional self-evaluation. We've started a committee, sort of a leadership committee based that includes the presidents and the VPIs and a couple other people. We've had our first meeting already. We're meeting again next week, and we're going to be sort of in a unified approach, putting together a budget, putting together our accreditation teams, or in this case, for this year, our institutional self-evaluation teams. And we've already arranged for the ACCJC to give us a workshop, to come down to Peralta and provide a workshop on October 29th to all of the accreditation teams at each of the colleges, a lot of these folks are new at Peralta, and so that'll be a very valuable, it'll be an all-day event on October 29th up at Merritt College. So we are actively and energetically getting started on our next accreditation cycle.
Thank you. Are there further reports?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your reports. And Chancellor, it's back to you.
That's the end of our reports this evening. Thank you very much.
All right, with that, we move to Board of Trustees reports, and we'll begin with Student Trustee Wiley.
Good evening, everyone. On this month, September 12th, we have Chancellor and the Vice Chancellor Adela to come to the PSC meeting. I thank you so much, both of the great leader. And we have more idea what should we do for the student leadership circle. And we have to really set up very bottom line, what can we do and what cannot do. And also, Chancellor is explained very well about the procedure and some idea what is the future vision. We should go for it, and also can make the Palo Community College to become stronger and better. And that's my report today. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Nikki?
Thank you. I just have to report that I am starting classes, and so I join our Peralta colleagues on actually being in a classroom this week. I'm just tired. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation of your behavior. And now we move over to Trustee Gia.
Well, let me start over. I've actually a lot of energy tonight.
Mr. President, just quickly, a couple of quick announcements I wanted to make about upcoming events and some kudos to our colleges. One is there's a fair coming up a health fair coming up on September 28th here at Laney College, sponsored by Laney College, the Office of Assemblymember Rob Bonta and Alameda County Public Health Department. There's going to be vision screenings, medical screenings, hearing tests, and lots of information around the Affordable Care Act. So that's happening on September 28th, which should be a really good event, and the community is welcome to attend that. Today is also National Voter Registration Day. We encourage new students, particularly those students who just turned 18, maybe haven't registered before, that it's very easy to register to vote. You simply go to www.sosca.gov, and you could register to vote online. It's very simple, and we hope that all our students and members of the public who aren't registered to vote to please do so. Wanted to congratulate our faculty up at Merritt College in the African American Studies Department. Dr. Siri Brown recently was awarded a grant. You may have seen that they awarded a federal grant to undertake research projects to study the African diaspora in Brazil. I don't know if those research projects are extended to trustees, but certainly it's of interest as the football conference is going to be taking off pretty soon next year. So perfect timing on that grant. I also wanted to point out that we haven't acknowledged, but it is National Hispanic Heritage Month, and it's from September 15th through October 15th, and I hope that the different organizations around campus observe the contributions of Latino Americans here in the U.S. Recently, I was able to trace the history of my family and their origins to California and their history, and it's the story of California migration experience is very much tied to the development of California in many ways. And I would encourage that the Peralta colleges recognize this month. But more importantly, that we really try to make strides towards getting parity when it comes to enrollment of our students. Latinos in our service area make up about 23-24%. Our enrollment has been stagnant at the Peralta colleges, about 12 or 13% for the last few years, and I hope that one of the steps that we can take is actually having the colleges enroll in HACU, which is the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. And once we reach a certain threshold of 25%, I think enrollment in one of the colleges, there are federal resources available to ensure that not only that students enroll, but they actually succeed and graduate and get out of here. That's the ultimate goal, I think, for all of us. And then lastly, I wanted to congratulate the American League Western Division champions, Oakland Athletics, for clinching their division. And if anybody has any tickets, I'm a cheap date. Thank you.
I had the opportunity to attend the Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference with our wonderful Peralta students this last week, and it was a great experience. I think that we should take a moment to commend our Chancellor for the leadership in supporting student development and student leadership, and our college presidents for supporting the student delegations that had gone. They were amazing, and we are again in the vanguard. Peralta was the only California community college, and I think one of the, maybe the only one nationally, that actually sent a student delegation to participate in the Emerging Leaders program. And our students were Rolf Krutput, Alicia Williams, Miguel Angel Avila, Donna Io, Gerald Charles, and student trustee Sharon Clegg. They were amazing, and we had the opportunity to attend a full Senate hearing on the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act, which affects students and the access to higher education for those who were not born with the means to go to school without support and without financial help. And it really gave the students an opportunity to see their role as citizens in the government of their nation, and how important each individual and their capacity and their talents can be. So again, I think that the leadership at Peralta should be recognized, and I want to thank the Chancellor for being 100% behind that, and the college presidents for being behind that, and the trustees as well. Trustee Handy has done a great job in mentoring this program. And also I wanted to remind everyone that we have the Trial of the Century coming up on October 9th, and a special thanks to Dr. Ambrise Galaviz for her October 30th program at Merritt College on that the Trial of the Century, which is an academic program that'll be for students and part of the integration into their academics, that'll focus on the impact of the Huey-Newton trial and on the American justice system. And also, Dr. Elnora Webb has done an amazing job making sure that we see the full spectrum of the talent and capacity at Laney College in support of this program. So I think that Peralta has done an amazing job, once again, in supporting great leadership and demonstrating leadership in its administration and its faculty. So thank you to the people that have gone out to support the students and that are supporting these programs.
Thank you very much. I would like to just take this moment to thank Vice Chancellor Gerhard for his outstanding work for the district. It's with a great deal of sorrow and concern we have that he's leaving. As you well know, most of you sitting here on this board remember what things were like prior to his arrival, and you've worked some miracles for all of us and have earned for yourself a great reputation as a, what shall we say, a rescuer of districts in distress, and we're a prime example of that. I really appreciate the fact that you present budgets that we can read very easily, that you worked out formulas for making allocations that were very sound and fair, and in general, that you balanced the books and built a reserve for us. This is incredible work on your part. You know, we've all been very, very fortunate to have you, and I personally, and I know on behalf of the board members, we wish you good fortune in all of your future endeavors, and get out there and fix City College. We need them training our students as well. I hope that applause induces you to reconsider your decision. If not, the applause continues. Anyway, thank you very much.
Well, if I could, Chancellor, appreciate it. You know, thank you. As I mentioned or I emailed a few, it wasn't without a lot of thought and a lot of internal conflict that I reached this decision, and you know, it was something that it took me a while to reach. I enjoy working here at Peralta. Some of the best people and most intelligent and capable people I've ever met in a community college, and you have a great leadership team. So with that, you know, I appreciate that. That's almost as embarrassing as when you sang me happy birthday a couple years back. But, you know, again, I appreciate that. And, you know, part of me and my heart will always be here at Peralta.
Thank you. And with that,
We'll continue sending the assessment for the parcel tax to your home, just so you don't forget about us.
all right, with that, Dr. Van Putten.
Thank you, Mr. President. There is no district academic senate president's report tonight.
Thank you. I'm sorry. With that, we move to the consent calendar.
Mr. President, I move approval for the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposition? Nays? Unanimous. And so with that, we move to the action part of our calendar, and we have 2 action items there. And let me give you the title. The first action item is consider approval of the tentative agreement between the district and SEIU 1021 permanent employees. Is there a move to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Seconded. Discussion?
Question.
Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Is that roll call?
Abstentions? Nays?
That's not roll call.
And now we move to item 2, if I can find it here.
Is that roll call?
Just
Is
a
that a-
question for the clerk, real quick.
Is there a
On the
roll
last
call
item,
required?
is that a roll call vote, or is it just a voice vote sufficient?
No roll call, okay, thank you.
What's item number 2?
I'm looking for item number 2 here.
There's no item number 2.
Oh, there is no. They're all combined as one. Thank you. It's my mistake. And so with that, I believe we have concluded our agenda. And
Mr. President.
I would like to ask if there are any, I'm sorry. Do we?
I'm directed by our board clerk to remind everyone there is an item 2, consider approval of the tentative agreement with the district and SEIU 1021 short-term employees.
Mr. President, I move approval of action item number 2, tentative agreement with SEIU and our short-term hourly employees.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions, nays? Item carries unanimous. And I'm glad to see that I wasn't wrong with the item 2. Thank you. And with that, we move to concluding comments. Do we have comments?
Yes, Mr. President, briefly, the board has canceled, I think this is still accurate, the board has canceled our October 15th board meeting, and our next regularly scheduled board meeting will be resumed on actually October 8th and October 22nd, both of which will be held in the district boardroom. And there will be a board retreat. I think our only meeting in November is on November 12th. Will be held on that Tuesday, November 12th, at a location to be determined. And, Mr. President, I think that concludes all the announcements for this evening, but we have a lot of time, so I'm sure we'd like to talk some more.
If you wish to continue the meeting, I'm very happy to comply. But
I move adjournment, Mr. President.
there's a move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Non-debatable.
All right. The meeting is officially adjourned. And to my grandchildren, Maxie and Vio, you better hop to bed. Thank you.
Hey, Nikki, do you have, what do you have at home to put that in?
I'm going to go put it in a bucket of